As powerful as Illumi is, Zeno and Silva are then implied to be even stronger. Hey, what's up everybody? It's LeeLos, and today we're talking about why the Zodiac versus the Zoldyck family is obvious. Stay steady in pursuit of your dreams and goals. You're born to win, you're made for greatness, and I definitely believe in you guys. Keep up the great work each and every day. So the Zodiac versus the Zoldyck family is a battle between one of the most legendary families in the entire world of Hunter x Hunter versus 12 of the strongest hunters in the entire Hunter Association. Today we're going to analyze every single power-up and ability these legendary monsters have displayed to find out overall who's more powerful than who between these two teams. Kilua Zoldyck is one of the most gifted geniuses in the entire world of Hunter x Hunter. Kilua's learning speed and development of complex abilities backs up the idea of his insane potential even further. Bisky states Kilua turning his aura into electricity at such a young age is a terrifying and tragic ability. Transmuting aura into electricity is only possible due to Kilua surviving torture training, which is what makes his power tragic. Bisky stating that the ability is terrifying, however, could be referring to how powerful an electricity ability could become. Or it could be implying that transmuting aura into electricity requires a great deal of skill, and Kilua performing this effortlessly is further proof of unnatural talent. Furthermore, Kilua's aura precision is actually insane. Within months of learning Nen, Kilua was already performing Nen precision feats on par with what Bisky could do in her late 20s. Bisky states she learned Nen at age 17, meaning skill that required Bisky 10 to 11 years to achieve, Kilua developed within months of Bisky's training. Kilua's Lightning Bolt is one of the strongest support abilities in the entire series. It was shown to be powerful enough to stunlock even a royal guard as powerful as Yuppie, meaning if it lands, this ability would likely also stunlock a large portion of the Hunter x Hunter verse. It might be possible to counter Kilua's lightning with max power Nen Ken defense, but it's unknown and debatable. There were a few things that imply this, such as Yuppie being mid-attack, meaning he most likely did not have his defense up at full power, and it might require a bit of charge-up time, which could explain why he never used it in a 1v1, especially against someone like Palm, but the details and counters of this ability are up for debate. So let me know what you guys think in the comments. This ability is at its strongest when Kilua is working together with other hunters. The stun lock essentially allows his teammates to use powerful attacks that they otherwise would not be able to land. On top of all of this, Kilua's strongest power is Godspeed. When using Godspeed, Kilua's speed goes beyond the limits of his physical potential. If Godspeed is referring to going beyond Kilua's full-fledged adult potential, then this is an interesting parallel to Adult Gon's transformation, as Kilua is tapping into his full potential speed for almost zero drawbacks, meanwhile Gon is recklessly tapping into his full potential but risking everything. And as powerful as Kilua already is, many of his family members are heavily implied to be even stronger. Illumi is so strong that not only does post-Chimera Antarch Kilua state he still thinks Illumi could put a needle in his head, but Kilua chose to run away from Illumi for an entire arc rather than just fighting him, even after learning Godspeed. Later in the series, after developing new abilities with post-mortem Nen, Hisoka hires Illumi to try and assassinate him. Seeing how Hisoka is only interested in fighting strong opponents, this is further evidence of Hisoka respecting Illumi's strength, even after Hisoka has become stronger than ever. Illumi is a manipulator with needles that one-shot kill his opponents over time. The different type of Nen needle he used on Kilua implies that Illumi might have more types of Nen needles that we haven't even seen yet. If you highball Illumi, it's possible that he might even have a Nen needle that he could use on himself, similar to the Super Saiyan form Shalnark displayed. As powerful as Illumi is, Zeno and Silva are then implied to be even stronger. During the Chrollo fight, not only did Zeno perfectly predict the number of conditions needed for Chrollo's Hatsu instantly, but Chrollo in fact never once even landed a single attack on Zeno throughout the entire battle. All of Zeno's damage came from straight up tanking a Hatsu attack from Silva. One of Silva's most impressive feats is how he one-shot Cheetu after Cheetu received a second upgrade from Poof. Zeno warns Cheetu that Silva is behind him and about to attack him, but Cheetu chose to ignore his advice. After Silva one-shots him, Zeno states, "Looking would not have helped you anyway." This implies that Silva, at least in terms of reaction speed, might actually be even faster than Cheetu. The butlers, Kaluto, Maha, and the remaining members of Kilua's family will be scaled later in this video, but all this being said, how does the Zoldyck family compare to the 12 Zodiac? The Zodiac are 12 of the strongest hunters in the Hunter Association. That doesn't mean they are automatically the literal top 12 in the Hunter Association, they're simply amongst the strongest, with many fans believing that Ging is the strongest of the 12. The lore surrounding Ging is genuinely insane, with some fans believing him to be the strongest human other than Ging Freecss and Adult Gon. Ging became a top 5 Nen user many years ago, with the anime depicting top 5 Nen user Ging at being around the same age he was when he defeated Razor, meaning Ging could have became a top 5 Nen user many years ago while building Greed Island, possibly around the same time Gon was born, and has gotten much stronger since. Not only has it been stated that he has a talent to copy any punching ability he's been hit with, and due to his annoying personality, we can only guess at how many different punching abilities he was hit with during that 10-year time frame, which would add to his moveset vastly. But similar to Beyond Netero, Ging is stated to be the only Zodiac who may have been preparing for the Dark Continent. Proof of Jing's preparation for the Dark Continent is shown in his deep knowledge on the subject. He knows more about it than Beyond's employees, and educates them about an undocumented trip a young Netero took to the Dark Continent while near his prime. Despite knowing that the continent was too dangerous for potentially even a prime Netero, Ging not only confidently states his desires are similar to Beyond, implying he wants to take on the challenge of the land, but Ging also promises his weaker teammates that he won't let them die during the Dark Continent mission. Furthermore, when describing 5 calamities ranked more dangerous than the Chimera ants that killed Netero, Ging states it's a miracle that they haven't wiped out humanity already. Despite this, Ging says the best they could do is lock them up and stay away. You could argue that this implies Ging believes he can somehow lock away calamities more dangerous than Netero if given a plan, or maybe using his ability that we've yet to see. When Gon was 8 years old, Kite states that Ging is the best and there's no other hunter like him. In my opinion, the most reasonable interpretation of this is that Kite was simply biased and giving praise to its Nen master. However, a highball interpretation of this is that from Kite's perspective, Ging was genuinely already the best of all hunters, or in other words, the #1 hunter. Kite then goes on to say that Ging already qualifies to be a triple star hunter and has a wide range of accomplishments. Considering all of his insane lore, on top of the fact that he became a top 5 Nen user a long time ago and has likely gotten much stronger since that point. Meanwhile, Netero has been getting weaker to the point where Netero states he's less than half his prime strength and hasn't been the strongest Nen user in over 50 years. The idea of Ging and Netero being relative in overall combat ability is almost guaranteed, and Ging being stronger than Old Man Netero is a real possibility. As powerful as Ging is, characters like Sayu show zero fear at the idea of fighting him. 3 of the other Zodiac are triple star hunters, which is the highest accolade a hunter can receive, and it's based largely on multiple outstanding achievements in their field. For combat related triple star hunters like Botabai, it's extremely impressive. Furthermore, Botabai is the oldest of the Zodiac, and some fans believe he's on par with Ging and Netero. His job on the Dark Continent is to destroy any threats they face, and Botabai took this role knowing that the threats were likely more dangerous than Netero, so there's a good argument for Botabai being very powerful. Furthermore, Pariston compares Netero to the Zodiac and states that they were all too powerful to understand the weaker hunters, and the Zodiac are stated to be stronger than Morel, a character who eclipsed Kilua in overall Nen experience. In complete honesty, you could make an argument that even some of the weaker Zodiac are stronger overall Nen users than Kilua is. There's also a line of dialogue implying Cheetle believes Netero did not bring the Zodiac to the Chimera Ant invasion because they might have completed the mission without letting Netero fight at all. But even if you ignore that statement, the Zodiac are depicted to be extremely powerful hunters. Otherwise, it would make genuinely zero sense for Netero to trust them with the mission of taking on the Dark Continent while stopping Beyond at the same time, when Netero could have asked nearly anyone else in the Hunter Association to do it. That alone is very underrated because there's a line of dialogue implying that Netero might have wanted Beyond to fight him, which hypes up Beyond's strength even further. But Netero still thought the Zodiac could handle Beyond, plus the Dark Continent, at the same time. So all that being said, which group is truly more powerful, the Zoldycks or the Zodiac? Both sides have win conditions over each other, especially if one side goes into battle with a plan or knows the other's abilities. But one side of this battle is slightly more likely to have a raw power advantage over the other. In complete honesty, without the help of Maha Zoldyck and the butlers, the Zoldyck family has almost no chance of winning a straight up fight against the Zodiac, and there's a few different ways to prove this. Netero on his own would be an extremely challenging fight for Zeno, Silva, Illumi, and Kilua all working together, and Netero might actually win that battle. Since Ging is implied to be relative to Netero, that means the same would apply to Ging. If you highball Ging and believe he's stronger than Netero, then Ging might solo this segment of the Zoldyck family by himself, and then there's still 11 other Zodiac to deal with. Furthermore, when you consider the fact that Zeno and Silva state that they view Crollo as so dangerous that they both might die in an attempt to kill just York New City Crollo, meanwhile Crollo is relative to Hisoka, and Netero is so far above Hisoka, he's bored at the idea of fighting him. Characters relative in power to Netero are simply too much for Zeno and Silva to handle in a straight up fight with no plan. The fact that Ging became a top 5 Nen user many years ago, meanwhile none of the Zoldycks have statements of even being top 10 Nen users, is a tough barrier to overcome. Also, Kaluto is so weak that I didn't even mention him. He couldn't even keep up with Rusty Phaeton's movements, while Phaeton wasn't using Hatsu, while weaker Phantom Troop members like Shalmark had no stated problem with it, meaning you could pick just about any Zodiac member and they would low difficulty defeat Kaluto. They might even one-shot him. Adding the butlers and Maha Zoldyck to this battle are really the Zoldyck family's only chance of winning from a pure power perspective. Maha Zoldyck is Zeno's grandfather and is the same age as Netero. In his prime, he was implied to be very powerful, with Zeno stating Netero was the only one who fought his grandfather and survived. Even though he used to be strong, we have absolutely no idea how powerful Maha is currently. Lowball, he could be completely retired, washed up, and weaker than Illumi. Highball, he could be the strongest Zoldyck and relative to Netero. A middle ball interpretation is that he's on par with Illumi and maybe even slightly stronger, but still weaker than Zeno and Silva. He was shown in the background of one of Illumi's missions during the manga, but we don't know if Maha actually did any fighting. He may have simply just been observing Illumi's mission. Furthermore, he did not age as well as Netero did. Netero is still jacked, meanwhile Maha looks like a frail old man. Let me know how much of his original power you guys think he retained in the comments. The butlers can range in power, as the minimum requirement to work on the Zoldyck estate is opening the first testing gate, which is a before Nen start of series Gon level feat. So at weakest, a lot of the butlers are start of series no Nen Gon level fodder, and the strongest shown butler is Tsubone, someone who's relative to Kilua. She was tasked with knocking Kilua out during the election arc, so you could argue that she's actually slightly above Kilua. Using a middle ball interpretation for all characters, the battle could now go either way and would be far more competitive. It would essentially be like having 2 Zeno and 2 Kilua level fighters on the Zoldyck team with the help of many fodder butlers against the 12 Zodiac. The Zodiac are still slightly more likely to win from a pure power perspective. Ging is enough to take on Zeno and Silva. Botobai and Sayu are enough to take on Kilua and Illumi. These fights would conclude high to extreme difficulty, and the Zodiac Zodiac members would still have some energy left to spare. Then you have a total of 9 completely fresh remaining Zodiac left to deal with. 5 of the remaining Zodiac could fight Maha, while 4 of the remaining Zodiac could fight the butlers and Kaluto. 5 medium tier Zodiac versus Maha would likely jump him and win, especially considering people like Mesostome have an ability that freezes people in place. Combining that with another Zodiac would be a very dangerous combo. It would be extreme difficulty, but the 5 Zodiac would be more likely to win when using middle ball interpretations for all characters. Maybe 1 or 2 of the Zodiac would die here, but they're simply more likely to win this battle in the end. And really, the only living butler that they would have to worry about is Tsubone. 2 Zodiac working together would likely extreme difficulty defeat Tsubone, considering that the Zodiac are stated to be stronger than Morel and Nove, but Tsubone might kill one of them and massively damage the other. Kaluto and the other butlers are basically fodder and are likely getting one shot in a 1v1 with just about any of the Zodiac, but all of them working together might extreme difficulty jump and defeat 2 of the weakest Zodiac. This is very debatable though, because if even the weakest Zodiac scale above Morel and Nove, then you can make a strong argument that the Zodiac would win. Despite this, even if the butlers and Kaluto squeeze out a victory against these 2 Zodiac, and we say that Maha kills 2 Zodiac members as well, they would still have to face 8 other Zodiac still remaining after their battles with the rest of the Zoldyck family. Kaluto and a bunch of fodder butlers are not going to clutch a victory against 8 Zodiac members, one of which being Ging, even if the Zodiac are tired, meaning overall, in a straight up fight, the Zodiac are slightly more likely to win extreme difficulty. And for the rest of the video, I'll just list off some possible win conditions for the Zoldyck family. If they have Maluki create powerful weapons, he might be able to wipe out a few of the Zodiac with a sneak attack and tip the battle in the Zoldyck's favor. If they unleash their dog Mike might be able to kill one of the weaker Zodiac and help tip the odds in their favor as well. The simplest solution to win would simply be for Kilua wishing Nanika to defeat the Zodiac for them. That's everything I wanted to say. I appreciate the views, and I'll see ya on the next one.